Hey guys, just to let you know that Borderlands and The Last Ones are on Tubi right now. That's Tubi. It's a streaming service. You probably have it on your PlayStation or on your phone. Check it out. The Last Ones is a zombie drama. It's in black and white. The first black and white zombie movie, I think it is. I'm not gonna check though, or you know. And also, Borderland is a mexploitation film about the cartels, and it's a lot of fun. And if you're like, hey, I want to learn about how El Paso is. Well, don't watch my film because it's not like how it is at all. But if you want to watch a fun movie set in El Paso, check it out. It's a lot of fun. Borderland and The Last Ones on Tubi. Check them out now. And now, let's start with the show. Have you seen my great new short, Millennials Are Killing Freddy, or whatever it's called? Go to my Facebook page, not this one. You're on the wrong one already, but go to the other one and check it out. It should be released by today. I'm taking a guess.
Go to my Vimeo. It is password protected. I won't give you the password.
Anyway, welcome to the Bomb Squad. How are you today?
You're not going to redo that Assassination Nation promo.
Bro, the promos are one takers. They don't miss. So, guys, as Josh just ruined it, this week we're talking about the 2018 film called Assassination Nation, or as everyone in the hood calls it.
Don't.
Or as all the cool kids call it in the barrio. Ass Nation. Guys, if you like Euphoria, this was actually Sam Levinson, the creator of Euphoria, and totally... Okay, I'm not going to say that joke. And super cool creator, Sam Levinson. This was his first movie. He had also written some other things. He had written The Wizard of Lies, the screenplay, and also Operation Endgame. But this was his first real big movie, and then obviously the success of getting this movie led him to have Euphoria, and there's a lot of similarities. So strap in as we kind of talk about it. I'm pretty sure on this one, Josh is just going to give the plot description, and then we're just going to go into it because there's not a lot of plot. But before, let me get to some technical things. Like I said, Sam Levinson wrote and directed this film. It stars Odessa Young, Abra, Suki Waterhouse, Snooki or Suki? I don't know. We'll have to ask Batman himself because they're dating. Or we could ask her, but I feel like it'd be more disrespectful. Maybe it wouldn't be. Who knows? Hari Nelf and Coleman Domingo, the super sexy Coleman Domingo, who you know from Zulu, Euphoria. Josh, what else is he in? He's in Lincoln.
I've only seen.
Only Spielberg knows who's in Lincoln. He's in Candyman. He's the crazy guy at the end. But he's a great actor.
He's good. He's one of the best parts of Euphoria in my eyes.
He's one of the best parts of every movie he's ever been in. And I want to say that he's Cuban. And
Let's just spend most of this going over his Wikipedia.
And let's just go over it, examining every single one of his Instagram pictures and just kind of...
It just says American actor, so there's no specification.
His father is from Belize and is from a Guatemalan family. It took me 2 seconds to find that out. Well, he's Guatemalan, not Cuban, so I was wrong, but I am right about him being Afro-Latino. Great. I'm going to put him in everything that I've ever made. Also, his voice is amazing. Let's get back to... I'm not in love with Coleman Domingo. I'm just going to put that out there right now.
I wouldn't judge you.
Especially when we explain to you how big of a role he has.
Yeah, he is not in this. But
he has one scene, maybe.
It's where you see Maude Apatow and you're like, oh, she's going to be she's in 3 scenes. Okay.
It also stars Maude Apatow and Joel McHale and Bill Skarsgård. You know who that is. He plays it. It actually has a pretty good cast. I mean, even Bella Thorne shows up. Which is probably not what you're expecting me to say after I said it actually has a pretty good cast. Break down what this plot is and then do it correctly because we're just going to go into it. There's not, like I said, it's a hangout movie.
Okay. So, a small town is thrown into chaos when a hacker first doxes just a couple people, but then half the town.
Yes, it's the story of how a town went crazy. Is how the movie starts. Um,
Oh yeah, it's kind of narrated in that like, my
Euphoria
name is
way.
Lily Colson,
Yeah.
and this is you won't believe what happened to
It's
me.
okay. So as we start, yeah, it's a pretty simple plot. It's kind of like Euphoria, where if you kind of describe the plot of a Euphoria episode to anyone, it doesn't sound like anything happened, but when you're watching it, it feels like a lot is going on.
The first good like about the first 30 minutes of this movie is nothing but music video style edits and cuts, and the whole movie is kind of like that, but it's pretty like overt at the beginning to where you're like, is this movie about anything? And
Yeah,
then it kind of picks up. So
well, and
you
let me be clear. I went to go see this movie in theaters because I thought it was going to be really bad. But I like to see really bad movies sometimes just to see like what the hell's going on. Like what did you think of this? And I also like to see fake woke movies. I think like the funniest one is probably that one with George Clooney where he plays like a politician and he's like, "Oh, I had an affair," and they're like,
oh Ides of March, yeah.
"Yeah," they're like, "Oh no, he ended world wars and he brought world peace, but he slept with a woman."
Yeah.
And so I thought that's what this was gonna be, but then I watched it and I was like, "Oh my god." Sam Levinson, he kind of knows how to write, and this is actually has some pretty good points to make, and is doing them in the loudest, dumbest way possible, which is why
It
I
kind of,
love.
it's like, and it's kind of weird to compare the two, but in a way it almost has that like they live style satire where it's like it's super blatant, and the movie's also super like about like kind of in a dumb way, but so much so that you're like, no, I kind of respect that it's like in your
Hmm.
face. It's not like trying to be like, ooh, this is subtly about apartheid. It's like, no, this is like there's an American flag every 5 seconds in this movie.
At the very beginning, like they have the intro, and she's like, "And that's how our whole town went nuts," or whatever, and then it immediately cuts to like clips from the movie you're about to watch, and it says trigger warning in red, white, and blue, and then it shows all the things like transphobia and
Yeah, like sexual
homophobia and like
assault,
racism.
murder,
Yeah,
yeah,
and like
toxic
some of the
masculinity,
stuff
yeah.
doesn't even happen.
Well, it says like toxic masculinity, and later it says like men behaving bad. So it kind of like does the it like
Hmm.
repeats itself, but in like obviously it's like trying to hammer the point home that it's like going to be over the top. So
Well, yeah, and so like that kind of gets you ready for it, and that's when I was like, "Oh my god, this might be cool." So the main character obviously is narrating the film, even though okay, so Odessa Young plays the main character, and much like Euphoria, it's four friends, and then like
Lily Colson,
kind of their outliers of Maude Apatow and Bella Thorne. But it's like four friends, and they're just kind of hanging out in high school. It's Odessa Young playing Lily, Abra playing Suki Waterhouse as Sarah, and Hari Narf as Bex. And like, so they're just kind of like hanging out, and they're doing that thing where they talk. And here's the thing: I do think that Sam does this really well. He does it well here, and he does it well in Euphoria. Like it's kind of fucked up. Is kind of how teenagers talk, where like they're all kind of talking over each other. Nothing is really being taken seriously. They're all just kind of like trying to make each other laugh and trying to make each other like get the story across.
That reminds me, I have a 20,000 word Nancy Grace fanfic in my draft right now.
I literally forget how weird you are sometimes when you just pull up some shit like that.
No, it's actually super legit. Oh my god, I love this song.
What song?
This song.
it's almost like a heightened reality version of like teen dialogue, but like it feels grounded. I don't know. It's weird. It's like it feels like intense, but also like realistic.
I feel like it's how us as the teens think that we talk, even if we don't necessarily talk as quick or as witty. That's how we. That's how it feels to talk, to hang out with your like four of your friends.
Yeah, I'll get that. Yeah.
And then Maude Apatow and Bella Thorne show up as cheerleaders. Oh, Bill Skarsgård shows up as Lily's boyfriend, who doesn't go down on her.
Oh yeah. Well, and then
And
okay, so it's basically Euphoria, and then people start getting doxxed. Like that's pretty much the setup is the
yeah,
same. Of like,
and like another thing that I really like about and I talked a little bit about this with Mexican movies. I even talked about it on my. I did an interview for my short film that's on my YouTube page right now about how even though like for a lot of minorities or people of color or any kind of minority, there's that like want of Hollywood to it's like, hey, you have a funny story and it stars Mexicans. Well, can it star white people? It's like no. It's like, well, can it be about Mexican immigrants? It's like, no, like you know what I'm talking about, like where like oh like even they make jokes a lot about how every other black movie has to be a slave movie and like Mexicans still
right? It
haven't
can't
gotten
just
out
be
of.
a guy. Yeah,
Yeah, I can't just like it's funny that like when you're a person of color or a minority, you almost have to explain why your movie stars other minorities. And I like that Sam Levinson doesn't do that. Like he has a lot of diversity in all of his casts and he doesn't shy away from their identity, but he also doesn't make it their sole purpose. So, oh, okay, and then this is all set up before, but I do want to cover some of the setup. So then, well, and in between all this, like in the background almost, the mayor gets doxxed, and he's like a super conservative mayor who like hates gay people, and then he gets doxxed, and it's like obviously found out that he's secretly gay, and he's like been setting up trysts with men and stuff. And so like everyone's kind of like talking about the moral implication of that.
Cry me a fucking
What?
This is a guy who spent his whole life trying to deny LGBTQIAA people their rights.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's not sad.
And they're
yeah.
just
It's
kind
very
of putting
like
it
well,
out.
and what's interesting too is like because mostly like the four main characters talk about it, and Lily, the main girl, she's like, oh, I don't think like I mean obviously he's like a piece of shit because he's like a self-hating gay who was like pushing all this like Republican like legislation, but I don't think anyone deserves that. Like she's like the most like, oh, no one deserves this, and then like Bex is like, fuck him, she's like she's kind of the audience surrogate to be like, fuck him, he deserves it. But then it happens to someone who doesn't deserve it after that. Where it's like people online will attack you and pile on for no reason. And he kind of is like showing like how that would be in real life,
Yeah, because the
People
principal
like try to
resigns.
destroy this principal's life.
the
like
the and the principal is like, I'm not gonna resign because the reason they want to cancel him is because he got doxxed and all his messages got released. But the only bad thing he did was he took pictures of his like baby
she was
when
like
she.
5 or 6, like in the tub. Yeah, something like that.
No,
Yeah.
I think she was like 5 months.
Oh, I don't
'Cause
even.
She's
Yeah,
she's like 2 years
he
old.
was like a
Yeah, so
little kid. Yeah.
yeah, she's like a little kid, and they're like, "Oh, well, that's child pornography," and it's like the most ridiculous thing ever. And like they even bring it up, like the dad is telling Lily, like, "Oh, that's why after you turned one, I never wanted to see you naked." And Lily's like, "What? That's the stupidest thing I've ever
Right. Well, because
heard."
she's in like, you have baby pictures of me like on the mantle, and he's like, we're not talking about this, and it's like, yeah, that is the weird
Yeah,
double standard. Yeah.
it's like that thing where like if you hear anyone got doxxed, like I even know when this like when the big like celebrity doxing thing happened, like several celebrities like Anna Kendrick I think did it, Emma Watson did it, had to come out and be like, yes, I got doxxed, but you're not gonna find anything because people were so desperate. Like they hear you get doxxed and they're so desperate to like find out the bad things you did that like it doesn't matter like with the principal if
Yeah.
you didn't do anything bad. They're just
Which
looking for
I,
anything
I
to
should also
find.
say, like, the meanest thing, but also this would 100% happen because of how casually cruel people are on the internet. Where like two of his students are like acting out a text message exchange the principal had with his wife over her miscarriage, where it's just
Oh
like
right.
it's super fucked up, but it's like, yeah, I could absolutely see someone doing that on Twitter, just saying like, oh, lol, that was funny.
Yeah, that happened with some actress was like doing the thing of Britney Spears where she was like pleading to her sister, and it's like, yeah, it's like it was like a meme. I get it, but it's like, yeah, but you have to realize that there are real people. The next day, after the principal like gets yelled at because he goes to the thing and he's like, "I'm not resigning," and everyone starts yelling at him. But then the next day, everyone in town gets doxxed.
Looks like half of Salem just got hacked.
Well, it's half the town
Half
specifically,
the town.
but that almost doesn't matter because like she doesn't get doxxed, but then the guy, Joel McHale, daddy, that she's texting does. It's like, well, then all of their messages are like out in public anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and she like sent him pictures, and it had like a picture of her tattoo. So everyone's like looking for this girl who had the tattoo. And that is a good idea because they only dox half the town, but the town is so small. And then so like for a little while,
we should also say too, subtle moment here. The town is called Salem because a witch hunt happens there.
But I don't get it. What does that mean?
It's a metaphor.
I don't know what those are. And you can find out how little I know about those if you go to my YouTube page right now. Watch my short film. The film is about like trying to figure out that Lily, like the whole town's trying to figure out who Lily is, and eventually they find her.
But it does lead to one of my favorite scenes in the movie. She's just walking down the street, and then these two super menacing guys start like harassing her.
Yes,
being like, "Hey, or come over here," and then one actually like has a knife, and it's like so like it like amps up, and it's like very like nerve wracking, you know. And he just rounds a corner, and she like hits him with a shovel so hard it does like this super big blood splatter everywhere.
Yeah, and his nose is like clearly all bashed in.
Yeah, and
it was
it's like
great.
It looks like he like all the violence like against men in this is super cathartic.
There is this idea, especially with men online, and it's kind of it does cross over into real life sometimes, where men think that like, yeah, I can just call a girl a bitch or like a fucking whore or whatever. And I like there's no negative repercussions, or I can like run after.
I was just messing around.
Yeah.
Why are you getting mad at me? You know?
Yeah, it's all fun and games to follow a girl until she bashes your face in with a shovel. But then they like a mob starts forming to figure out who the hacker is. He says that it was Lily who's the hacker because she was like checking the things. And I think, again, that's another important theme of like, especially with cancel culture, there's a lot of like, do people want the truth or do they just want their biases confirmed? Because it wasn't Lily and they're not really using any real technology other than some guy told them so. And how many times has some guy been wrong? So then the town just starts going after these four girls, and then the rest of the movie's like a riot / gunfight.
Yeah, this is actually her mom is there, and this is a pretty badass scene because they break in to try to like abduct Lily.
This is also the most Euphoria scene of the whole movie.
and instead of like doing the thing of like, what are you doing in my house? Get out of here. You just see the mom immediately walk up and like shoot one of them. And it's just like, yes. And she has like a shootout with all of them. It's like kind of a pretty badass scene, even though they eventually like take her down. It's like, you kind of like to see a woman just be like, oh no, fuck you, versus like, get out of here, you know?
Yeah. So then it becomes like a riot and a raid. We won't spoil the ending, but I will say that I think that this movie, much like Euphoria, but let's talk about the theme. I think because cancel culture is such a tricky subject, because I've heard, like, I have a friend, he says you're either 100% for cancel culture and 100% against cancel culture, which is like such a dumb way of thinking of things, especially like when you think about what cancel culture is. Because cancel culture is just like, a lot of times it should be holding accountability, but at the other hand, a lot of times it's feeding into a mob. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I think that's kind of why the first two, like the first one is someone where you would probably agree deserves it. And then the second one is one where it's another public figure who didn't really do anything wrong, but probably isn't well liked because no one likes him.
He didn't do anything wrong, at all. But he is a black man and he is a principal. So it's much easier to cancel him than it was to cancel the mayor.
And then if you like it's just people are already like hungry for vengeance, because Lily actually kind of states it halfway. She's like, oh, some philosopher said 10% of people are like compassionate and 10% are cruel, and like 80% can be like persuaded one way or the other. And it's kind of like showing you like how that would go, you know?
Yeah. And also like Lily didn't do anything wrong. And even like before.
But no, she doesn't really do anything deserving of judgment. It's like a private infidelity.
Yeah, if anything,
not anyone's business.
Well, it's not only is it not anyone's business, but Lily is the victim. She's being groomed by this adult.
That's true. Yeah.
And even if Lily's sexual with her boyfriend or with other or with people her age or with herself, that is not room for an adult to jump in and be like, "Oh, I should sexualize you too and start an affair with you. You're a child." So Lily doesn't do anything wrong, but she's immediately ostracized. And at no point do they ever either punish, like the obviously Nick as Joel McHale loses his wife, but nobody really punishes him the way that Lily's punished. And if anything, he kind of gets off.
Yeah, that's actually kind of a funny, like, because first the town's just being like, oh, you're the biggest slut ever because like you're the most interesting thing from this docs because it's like a big like affair thing. But then when they're like, oh, also she was the hacker, but it's like, why would she ruin her own life? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it doesn't
she would
even
have
make
no
sense.
reason to do it, but because people already hated her for one thing, they're like, oh, you're clearly like responsible for all of this.
And they do
Yeah.
make a point to show that once that even though she is being like harassed and like everyone hates her and everyone wants to literally murder her, they're also like she's also gaining the whole town as followers on her Instagram and Twitter and Facebook page. So it is like it does point out that hypocrisy of like, yeah, you guys don't like her because she's a slut, but all you want to do is like look at her child slut ways, you know? Yeah, I think that this is actually a really smart movie about cancel culture and how I do think that some people do need to be canceled. I think that if you like, and a lot of times I think people get canceled not because of what they did, but because of how they respond to it. You know, like if J.K. Rowling had just been like, oh man, I didn't really know what I was saying, I didn't understand this situation, and I've learned, like, there would probably still be some detractors who are like, I don't care. But I think a lot of people would try to give them the benefit of the doubt. But the fact that she's like doubled down, well, at this point, she's what, like a millionth time down on this
Yeah, I
on
don't
this
even know.
series.
It's been years at this point, but yeah, where she just
She,
immediately.
she does more transphobic tweets than she writes books. But, but Joshua, on the other hand, sometimes people get doxxed or like get taken apart by for doing nothing really, like, you know. And there is even that kind of idea of like, if someone's making a joke, should they be canceled or should you just say that that joke is stupid and move on, you know? Like, does someone need to lose their job because they may have done one thing bad?
Yeah, I always think about like with politicians, it's like it's weird to me because those are the only people who like it really should be fair game because politicians deserve no like they should be under the most scrutiny because they're actually in charge of everything. It's
Yeah,
like, but at the same time, you think about like what was it, Al Franken like immediately resigned when like that stuff came out about him and then lost his seat, whatever. And then that one guy who did blackface, that governor,
yeah,
didn't resign. He's like, oh, I apologize, didn't resign, and nothing happened to him. So it's like,
right.
it's just kind of like, who even knows what the right call is morally and like for your own public image.
And I think even Sam has an idea of how to kind of like withdraw from the cancel culture where like all these girls are quote unquote getting canceled, and yes, it's to a Euphoria style extreme version of it where they're trying to murder them. But at the end of the day, they know they didn't do anything wrong, so they don't accept the cancellation and
Yeah,
they
it's
fight back.
literally just like relationship drama type stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not.
Well, again, like Lily's the victim in the situation. And I don't even think Lily considers herself the victim in the story, but
Yeah.
she is still the child being groomed by some adult.
I don't know, like, I don't know if they actually say because their ages are very vague.
But in they do say that she has been babysitting that guy's kids since
For
they were babies.
years.
And
Yeah.
they're like 5 years old. So
That
he's
is
literally
definitely grooming.
it's
Yeah.
literally gross. And it's that
Fair
thing where,
point.
yeah, it's like the worst type of grooming too, where it's like he clearly knew her when she was like a little kid.
Yeah.
Because they're neighbors, by the way. And so I do think that there is that kind of like thing where it's like sometimes you do have to fight back against being canceled. Now, it's kind of up to you to figure out where that line is. And like as bad as that sounds, it's also up to it's not only up to you to figure out whether you should be canceled, but it's up to the public to figure out whether you can actually survive it. Like you look at Louis C.K. and he's like, I'm not gonna say that name. You look at some comedian who got canceled, and he's kind of come back, and he's kind of doing things again, and it's like, did he really learn his lesson? Like, who knows?
Well, it's also, I know there's also kind of the weird thing where it's like, oh, one comedian did this, and then another one did, like, it's like they'll lump everyone together. I don't know. It's kind of a weird, like,
and it's this movie touches on that too, how they lump the principal and the mayor, and maybe that's why the press conference takes place in the same room, to kind of show that they're having to go through the same shit, despite the fact that the mayor clearly, like, he didn't do anything wrong by being gay. He was wrong for like pretending to be the super conservative Christian guy
and like passing like
and
oppressive
passing
laws and whatnot.
anti-gay. Yeah.
He's wrong
And
in the way
then-
every Republican is wrong.
Exactly.
So-
And then, but the principal didn't do anything wrong, and it's kind of like they still have to go through the quote unquote guillotine march just to like see where their lives are at the other end. And I do think that that's important. Like if you look at, like, if we think about there was this one comedian who was calling people on the phone and maybe touching himself a little bit. And there was another comedian who kind of went out on a date, and it was kind of like a shitty date, and he kind of seemed like a prick about it. And he was like clearly like kind of getting high off the fact that she was like a fan of his. But then it was just like a consensual sexual date. And like at one point she like told him to stop, so he did. And those two things, like both of them are the guys being jerks, but one of them is like, he's clearly not respecting your consent, and he's kind of doing something a little bit gross and a little bit crossing boundaries that you shouldn't cross without the other person's consent. And the other one is just kind of like, yeah, dude, that fucking sucks. You're kind of a dick,
yeah, it's like I don't like, this sounds like a bad time, but I don't think you did a crime in this situation.
Yeah, and I don't think you should be necessarily like ostracized for this, but maybe like try to work on yourself, like we all are. But if you look at it from the media's standpoint, or even probably from their standpoint, it's like this thing where they were taken out to the woodshed for the same crime, even though it was very different circumstances. And I do think that as cancel culture, continues, that is something that we have to look at. Like, what?
And, there actually is kind of, because near the end of the movie, you get the sense the entire town is against him, like her parents, like Joel McHale, everyone, the police. But then there is kind of this thing where he does actually take the time to show that, like, there are like good people who like step away from the mob. Like, like they basically, like, at one point have Bex and they're gonna hang her. And then Diamond, the guy that she'd been secretly seeing, is like, no, I'm not gonna like help you. Like, they're like, she humiliated you. He's like, no, you humiliated me.
Yeah, and I think that's another good scene.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, it's like, oh, you don't have to be, like, you can actually, like, step away from it type of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's kind
a
of
very
like
super blunt metaphor, but I think it works well for this. Yeah.
And I think it's that thing where it's like, yeah, the guy wanted to punish her, but when he saw what the punishment was,
he's like, no, this is too far. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's an important thing when you're coming to cancel culture, any kind of judgment on anyone, is that you do have to look at that particular, like, trying to lump anything together in any way is always going to be bad. And I think that's what this movie's saying. Like, whether it's, punishments or whether it's, stereotypes or whatever, if you're not like taking time to understand nuance, then you're not really understanding the situation. And if you're going to cancel everyone for anything, you don't really believe in anything, because you just
you just like the act of like slamming someone on Twitter or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. And you see it all the time. Like, Lindsay Ellis, who's a popular YouTuber, she kind of got in some trouble for saying she was making a comparison she probably shouldn't have made, or she probably should have made a better comparison, but she got dragged on Twitter for it. Rightly so, by some of the community that was hurt by it. But then within like every like for every one legit criticism, that she got, there was probably 15 people who
It
were
was
just ready
like
to shit on her.
people who were like, "Oh, if we take her down, we can break into the bread tube." Well, I don't know. It was clearly online bullshit drama, not legitimate concerns for
Yeah.
like most of it. Yeah.
And again, like even then, you see it like ContraPoints
Oh,
not
man.
only win.
We don't even have
She's been-
time for like
I
the
know.
50 times they've tried to cancel ContraPoint.
She's been canceled so many times, and it's kind of like she keeps coming back. But you see the mental toll it took on both Lindsay Ellis and on ContraPoints, and you see how they both react to it. And again, like you can't treat them the same, regardless of whether you believe that they should have been canceled or not. You see that ContraPoints is like, well, ContraPoints is a special. She kind of like seems to thrive off of being canceled.
Yeah,
in a
it's still
weird
got to
way.
be rough though when it just
But-
never stops.
And she has talked about like the mental exhaustion that comes with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's more that like it's not so much that she thrives on it. I think it's more that she's been canceled so many times for so many dumb reasons that she just like doesn't really put that much stock into it anymore. And so she doesn't care if you cancel her. Like she's gonna
You've
keep
also
doing
got to
her
like, I mean, to use an example of someone who should be canceled, but it's never going to happen because it's just that's not how things actually work when you're big enough. Donald Trump. Donald Trump is
You're right.
definitely committed horrific, like not just crimes, but racism, sexism, probably sexual assaults, and it's just like none of it's ever going to stick because he just ignores it, and it works that he ignores it. You know.
Yeah, and Donald Trump's a good example of like.
So even when you're like, oh man, cancel culture can work because you could target bad people, it's like, no, because the worst person in the world, it's not going to work against that. And so it's, yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, and so I think like even though it kind of like Euphoria, where Euphoria is also kind of loud, in your face, and a little bit dumb, this movie is kind of the same, but it's also but it also does, like Euphoria, it has something to say and it does it. And it kind of has more to say than you think about. And so by the time you kind of get to what it's trying to say, you're like, oh man, it actually wasn't as big and dumb as I thought.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this was going somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know, with Euphoria, it's tricky. Because if you're a fan of Euphoria, I think you'd love this movie because it's almost like a rough draft of both the beginning and how I think Euphoria is going to eventually end.
Yeah.
But like it is weird because it's like, is he still like, you don't know where Euphoria is going, because I almost think he might be spinning his wheels because it got so popular. He's going to try to extend it, but we'll see.
Yeah. But overall, especially if you want to see someone's first attempt at something, this is like a good look at it, because you kind of see what he took from this movie to kind of create Euphoria, and I think it's very interesting.
If
and even on its own,
a very funny scene of a police officer saying, "You're not allowed to kill a cop," seconds before he dies in the most savage way possible.
Yes.
You'll enjoy this movie,
right? Yeah, no, and I think it's good. So check this movie out. It's called Assassination Nation. The reason we did it is because it's about to leave Hulu, but hopefully it lands on some kind of streaming service. It was on Hulu for like 2 years and it's been out. But I think that like, I just think this movie kind of got lost in the shuffle, and then like Euphoria came out and it was such a huge hit that this one got even more like kind of pushed down to the bottom. So I did want to talk about it. And I think it has a lot to say. I think it surprised me. And like I said, I thought it was going to be bad. It ended up being one of my favorite films of 2018. So check it out. Assassination Nation. It's a good movie. And that ends it for the Bomb Squad. We'll see you guys next week. Who knows what we're talking about? I'm sure it'll be fun. I don't even know either. I'm sure it'll be fun, and we'll see you there.